You're listening to the Uplevel Your Online Business Show, where wealth is empowering, purpose is crucial, and high vibes are non-negotiable. And now, here's your host, certified business coach and practical woo strategist, Sarah J. Loureiro.
Hey beauty, did you know that I just opened up some spots to work with me one-on-one? As an exclusive one-on-one business coaching client, you will get access to pretty much everything that I release this calendar year. So including my mastermind, including the amazing fully booked formula. If this is your year to finally up-level your business to the income and impact that really pushes you beyond your wildest dreams, we need to talk. You can book a free call with me to see if you're a good fit from the link bit.ly//let's talk success. That's uppercase L, uppercase T, uppercase S. Or you can head over to my website at sarahjloureiro.com/workwithsarah to find out more.
All right. Hey guys, and welcome back to the Uplevel Your Online Business Show with me, your host, certified business coach, Sarah J. Loureiro. Today, I'm really excited to have a friend, a mindset mentor of mine, and a longtime business bestie, Mikayla, on the show today. So Mikayla is a social media strategist and certified life coach who helps creatives and service-based entrepreneurs master their mindset, grow their online presence without overwhelm, and book more clients with ease through connection and story-based marketing. And I can personally tell you and personally attest to how amazing of a mindset coach Mikayla is, because she's definitely helped me get out of a lot of different mindset funks in my business. Even when I've been working with my own business coaches and things like that. So Mikayla, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. That is so kind of you to say. I really appreciate you having me on.
Yay. So let's talk a little bit about what attracted you to the online space and kind of your story of how you ended up here. How did you end up in social media and mindset coaching?
Yeah, so I started in the online space by blogging, really and truly. I feel like I've always had a lot of thoughts that I've wanted to put out into the world. I have lots of opinions on things and just lots of things to say about things that inspire me. And I'm always collecting inspiration, and I've always been a writer. And so it just felt natural to me to try and document that somewhere. And even in the conversations that I've had with people, I feel like I had such good conversations, and I've gotten insights, and I've been able to give people insights. And so I've gotten feedback like, what you're saying is so helpful. Like, I wish that, you could share this with more people. So I started blogging mostly about health and wellness and just putting my thoughts out there and taking the leap and jumping over the hurdle of being afraid of, who's going to see this? What if they judge me? All of those different things that we go through when we put our thoughts into the internet space. So I started doing that. And because I've also been really interested in health and wellness, I decided to get a personal training certification for fitness, because I follow fitness influencers and wellness influencers. And I thought I could totally do this. I really love fitness. And again, people ask me for tips, and people ask me to help them with getting in shape. And I have kind of a long health and wellness journey myself, but long story short, I decided that I wanted to be educated in this and help people with that. So I got that certification, and I started blogging. And for whatever reason, I stumbled across other health and wellness coaches in the Facebook, or not in the Facebook space, but in Facebook groups and in the online space. And I realized that there was this entire world of people that were building businesses, making incomes, building side hustles, and even full-time incomes, and building a full-time living off of doing online coaching. And I thought I could totally do this, and these seem like my people. And because of, we go through Myers-Briggs a lot, we touch on that in our own personal conversations, but I think because my specific type of introvert is pretty rare, I have found it hard to connect with people who I feel understand me. And when I got into this online space and this online coaching world, it was really easy to find people who understood, the goals that I had, who didn't think that they were weird or outlandish, or just kind of got me. And so I started making friends online, and I started discovering the power of online coaching. And I signed up with my very first coach, who told me that I could, turn this blog around and actually help people by doing one-on-one coaching. And so, long story short, I entered into this space kind of by accident, and I entered into a world that I didn't even really know existed months before. So that's kind of how I got started there. And with the social media side of things, I have a degree in communications and linguistic cognitive science. And I joke that I use my linguistics degree mostly to just correct people on their grammar and word usage. But that led me down a road to doing some social media internships. And I started doing social media management for a few different companies in different industries, did social media management and online digital strategy in the beauty industry. I've done stuff for not-for-profits. That's my full-time job. And I've also worked with different industries like nonprofits and people like female entrepreneurs that are building online brands as well. So I've got a pretty broad breadth of experience with that. And behind all of that comes the business side of online coaching. And business, for anyone who's in the online business space or in any kind of business at all, you know that you have to tell people about your business. You have to tell people about what you're doing online. You have to tell people about what you're doing, period. And you have to learn to sell yourself and to sell your services to other people. And that caused huge blocks for me. And I had to learn to overcome those blocks with a lot of mindset work, a lot of coaching, a lot of investing in my own progress, and investing in my own ways of thinking and changing those ways of thinking to actually be able to present what I'm doing as valuable, because it's just that I had to learn to communicate that well. And so that's how I got into mindset coaching, was understanding that, the transformation that I had made on this journey of online business could actually help other people exponentially. And if I had had that mindset part of things from the very beginning, I know that I would have been able to grow much faster.
Yes, I love that. And we've talked about this before about how, when you got pregnant, so Mikayla's also a new mom
Yeah.
to a beautiful little baby girl. So, but when Mikayla got pregnant, she started signing up social media clients for retainer fees for, social media management, like left, right, and center. It was like this new amazing energy was just kind of burst into her, where she was like, this is what I really want to do. And you even said in your form prior to this interview that, you found that even your retainer clients for social media management, they needed so much of this mindset help, right? So it was like, everyone always thinks that when they come into business, they just need to be taught what to do. They just need to be taught the systems. But when you actually go to implement the systems, it's a completely different world, right? So what you found is that you weren't just helping them with done for you services, you were actually helping them with their mindset work. And then things just kind of exponentially shifted for them when you started to combine the two.
Absolutely. And I think that, I remember I would be telling clients, you can't hide behind your logo. You have to show your face. And, it's easy to say from here that that's a no-brainer. Visibility is a no-brainer. You have to be able to show your face. You can't be afraid to say, here's who I am, right? But sometimes for people that are kind of starting out, it's so hard to get over that block. I remember one of the very first, I didn't post a photo of myself on my blog's Instagram, which was Naturally Whole at the time. I didn't post a photo of myself for over a year. I was just posting, pictures of my food. I was posting like text quotes, inspirational things. stock photos. And I remember the first time I posted a photo of myself, I was, it was a big step for me and I was mortified. I was like, well, what if nobody likes it? What if I don't get as many likes as, some of my inspirational quotes? What if? And I think that I just had to move through that fear. And what I found was that once I started infusing more of who I was, once I started showing my face and saying, hey guys, like I'm the face behind this account, things started to change and people like connecting with people. I know this is so cliche and it's on repeat. Social media is social, and there's a reason why that is cliche, and there's a reason why that's true. This online space is saturated with people who are doing the same thing as you are, and that's okay. There's room for everybody, but what's going to make you stand out is you being you. Um, and so that's what's going to get people's attention, and that's even where the story and connection based marketing comes in. Is all I have to offer is my personal experience, and if you resonate with that, and if I build enough trust with you, that's what's going to make you attracted to me, and that's what's going to make you want to work with me. And so that's something that I had to really communicate to my clients that I worked with. And that's something that is just true for anyone who's trying to build a personal brand online. Is a personal brands are personal. So you can't just follow someone else's cut and paste template of content, but you do have to infuse yourself, and you have to infuse your personality, infuse your story. And that comes only by having the courage to show up and to do it.
Exactly. I even remember the very first time that I hit publish to my very first Facebook business page, which I think it was like in 2015. And I was just so terrified of doing it. Because back then I really hid behind a lot of my yoga photos. Like it's like, okay, cool. I can just, take photos of my body, right? And no one's gonna see my face, which is fine, right? Like no one has to see my face in any of these things. But I noticed over time that the more that I was willing to be vulnerable with my audience and willing to open up to my audience and willing to show them my face, to get on video, that was when I really started to convert clients left, right, and center, because I was no longer just this body on the internet. And I think that even with social media, it's so distorting too. And I remember one of my friends who is actually, she's a little bit of an influencer. So she has, I think, like 30,000 plus followers on Instagram, and they've all kind of been organic for her. And she has like a very lifestyle-y Instagram. Some of our fears are actually kind of true. But that's not, it's not the point, right? So what she was telling me once was that anytime that she um, shows a photo of her face, she gets significantly less likes on her Instagram. And it's because people just want to see like her sunsets, right? And her like her beach photos of just like the pretty beach, because she's a photographer. But at the end of the day, those aren't going to be the people who sign up for her coaching. Those aren't going to be the people who sign up for her mentorship services. And I think that is the real point too, that it's not just about likes and follows. It's about that valuable engagement, that real relationship building that you can do. Because, do you really need the likes from everyone, right? Do you really need all of those followers if all they really want is, just to see your recipes, right? Or do you actually want the people who like your face, or who want to see who you are, want to see your vulnerability? Do you want those people to take notice? And when you're building a personal brand, it's definitely the latter.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree. And, there's something to be said about, massive audience growth, but at that same time, you do want it to be the same people, or not the same people, but the right people. You want that 1,000 true fans. You want an engaged audience. And this is why, there's a lot of discussion right now. I mean, at the time that we're recording this, Instagram has already rolled out hiding likes in certain countries, and they've just started in the US to some accounts. And there's a lot of discussion about it in the social media industry about, is this beneficial? What are we going to do about it? How do you feel about it? And I actually found it really refreshing, because when I got back onto my Instagram account for social media coaching, I was like, there's a lot more conversation happening. And I feel so light, knowing that it's not just about collecting likes for the sake of it. And it's not that likes are not an important metric to measure, because it's a reflection of what your audience values, and whether or not that audience is the right audience, that's a different story. But it's a reflection of the audience you have and what they value in your feed. So it is important to look at. However, moving away solely from that changes it from a popularity contest to, okay, how can we strategically engage people and actually get people thinking about the contributions that they're making on a post? When you write out a comment, you want it to be thoughtful enough that you get a response so that you can keep that conversation going. Otherwise, if you have a comment section full of emojis, that looks like spam, and it doesn't elevate your presence, and it doesn't elevate your brand online as someone to watch and a thought leader to follow if you don't have any meaningful conversation happening in your community online. So I think
Yeah.
that that's a really good point that you've made about those metrics, and the fact that you want a targeted quality audience of people who are actually going to be the people that you want to work with and who are going to want to work with you.
Yes, amen. Amen to that. And this is really reminding me of a conversation that I had with one of my clients where she was just kind of like, well, I have 200 people checking out my Instagram stories per day. Like I'm, made, like this is awesome. There's so many people who are engaging with my content. But at the end of the day, it's so funny how sometimes we're like, okay, boom, this is my platform because I have so many people who are, engaging with everything that I'm doing. And then when we take a look back and when we actually review things, and so when we actually review things for her business, all of her clients were coming from Facebook. They were coming from Facebook groups and like Facebook ad reach. And so
Yeah.
then we were just kind of like, well, what does that tell you about your Instagram account, right? And what does that tell you about all of those people who are watching? Well, either
Mhm.
one, you're not monetizing that efficiently, or two, where did those people come in from, right? Did they come in from this whole, like, did they come in from that need to look for a life coach? Did they come in from, a place where they were really wanting to take their lives to the next level? Or is this a mismatch of audience and you just kind of have all these fancy and pretty likes? And I think at the end of the day, what we decided to do with her is just really just focus on what was working more so than kind of just saying, okay, well, I have 200 people watching my Instagram story, so therefore they're going to have to
Mhm.
all turn into clients. So what would be actually, this is a really interesting question. What would you do
Mhm.
in that situation? So let's say, for example, you had a client or you had a social media
Mhm.
client who had an Instagram account where they had like thousands of followers, but like no one was
Mhm.
converting. What would be some of the things that you would tell them? And so, even if you guys, even if you're listening right now, even if you don't have thousands of followers or like, hundreds of followers on your Instagram, if you feel like you're in this situation, just, take some notes because Mikayla
Mhm.
is the bomb at Instagram and all of this kind of stuff. So, she's probably about to share some really amazing wisdom with us. So, go for it.
No pressure. I think that one of the first things, because mindset always has to be the core of everything that I say, but one of the first things I would say is to be honest with yourself about why you're focusing so much on um, likes from Instagram, when you look at the data, your actual people are coming from Facebook. So if that's like, take a look
Boom.
at where you want to be. Yeah, take a look at where you
Right?
want to be. And if you're really happy about what's happening on Instagram, but that's not actually what is making the needle move in your business, reflect on why it is that you're focusing so much on that, from a bottom line perspective. Because what might be happening is that, you could be looking too much at those vanity metrics to boost your confidence and to distract you from the fact that maybe what you need to be doing is putting in time in your audience on Facebook and actually converting more clients. And is there a reason why you're not doing that? Is there a reason why you're afraid to actually pivot and put more energy and effort into what's actually making the needle move in your business? And it's not to say that you can't convert on Instagram, but if there's a real difference between where those conversions are happening, the metrics that you're focusing on Instagram aren't good. They're not making a difference. So it's not going to matter. And so I would look at that. And I would also say to look at those people that are liking and commenting, but not converting, compare that to the audience that's converting on Facebook, and see, what the differences might be. If it's the same audience, then why Facebook, not Instagram? If it's a different audience, then how can you get more of those people into your Instagram account if that's really where you love to be? And, I faced this before for myself, is following different strategies and following different advice. Like, you have to have a Facebook group, you have to have a Facebook page, you have to do LinkedIn, whatever, you have to do Instagram stories, you have to do this strategy or that. But I think part of, a sustainable online business, especially if you're a personal brand, is doing something that you're actually going to like doing. And if you really feel like you have to do something and you don't like doing it, consider having someone do it for you and show up there for you. So if it's going to be practical in order to move the needle in your business to be more on Facebook, consider outsourcing that engagement, or consider outsourcing that visibility on that platform, so that you don't have to tucker yourself out pouring energy into a platform that you don't really want to be on. Because at the end of the day, that's going to suck your energy, that's going to suck your high vibes, that's going to suck away all of those things that you need to show up really well for the clients that you do have. So I think that would be the first step of my advice. I don't know if that answered your question, but that's a few steps that I would look at if that's the situation that you're in.
And so what about, and this is, I feel like, such a typical thing that happens. You're on Instagram, you're posting content, and like, you just feel like everything is standing still. You literally feel like, and I know so many people who do this. They're like, okay, I'm just going to start things out on my own, right? I'm not going to hire a coach yet. I'm going to try to see like what I can do on my own, or I'm going to try to see how I can really manage this platform. And so they start posting out content. They start, sharing some nice images, and crickets, right? Like complete crickets with everything that they're doing. Like barely any comments. The comments that they are getting are spam. The people who are following them are spam followers. And it's just, like there's no genuine relationship building there. What is like one of the first steps that you suggest to them? Or like, what's one of the first things that you've done with your clients to try to really get that engagement up and build real relationships on that platform?
Well, step one is look at what you're contributing to those relationships, right? So if you're post and ghost, then, I mean, you can't really expect that everyone's going to come to you if you're not putting in some effort to build those relationships yourself. So, look at who's in your industry, look at who you want to connect with. If it's not something that you want to do to, reach out to people that you want to sign on as clients, then look for peers in your network that you can go on to their profiles. And this doesn't even need to be Instagram. This is everything. Go into their profiles, find genuine content that you like and that you have, expertise to be able to speak into what they're saying, whether it's just in agreement or just adding commentary to what they're saying, and participate in some of those conversations. Get your face and get your name out there. And those people are, they're just like you. They like having people insert themselves into the conversation because they want engagement on their stuff too. So, I mean, especially if you're starting out on your own, you get back what you give. And you can expect, if you're starting out with no overarching strategy, and you're just trying to build a following and engagement on your social media pages, you can't expect that people are just going to flock to you because you posted a photo every day, or you posted something with a smattering of industry hashtags every day. You have to go out there and make friends. It's an online networking space, first and foremost, and you can use it to leverage and monetize and get clients, but you have to participate. And I think participation is something that many people don't take seriously enough, because social media is just something that they feel like they have to tack on to their business in order to get eyes or get clients. But you have to participate. You can't show up at a networking event and sit in the corner and then expect everyone to be your friend. You have to go and talk to people. And so I think that's a really good way to meet other people in your industry. It's a really good way to build a network. I know, Sarah, I met you in a Facebook group. I can't even remember which one. And we figured out that we live not that far away from each other in real life. But part of doing the online business thing is spending some of that time simply making friends and building real connections with zero agenda. right? Is helping
Ooh,
people, and you
yes.
get that back and that comes back to you. So that is definitely step one, is look at your participation. And if that's little to none, step that up. Definitely.
And I think that I love how you said that. And I think that it could be so easy to kind of be like, well, so and so built their following, and like they don't seem to be doing all of these things or whatever. And social
Yeah,
media is changing so much at such a fast rate, like literally on a daily basis, right? And
definitely.
so it could have worked 5 years ago that you would post a yoga photo or post a few really nice yoga photos, and all of a sudden you got like a flock of people following you organically, right? I mean, that's how a
Hmm.
lot of the influencers, especially on Instagram as a platform, that's how a lot of the influencers became influencers. But now algorithms have changed. There's been so much spam, and then there's spam that's been taken out of the platform. Same thing with Facebook. You could have a business page on Facebook years ago, and you just get all of this organic reach, all of this organic following. But now, there's so many more people who are coming into the game that
Yeah.
it's just the same strategies are not working anymore. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it's just going to be harder for you. Absolutely not. I think, and I actually kind of love the fact that the playing field has been getting a little bit harder, because this actually separates the people who make it from the people who are just kind of trying to make noise and just being really wishy-washy in the online industry. If you know, and if
Absolutely.
you're ready to go and like do the relationship building and get out there and really be of service and provide that value, like you're going to make it, right? Like you're going to step outside of that noise.
Hmm.
And I think that's what you're really talking about too, right? It's just all of the relationship building that you can be doing on your platform with zero agenda. Like that is what is going to change the game for you, essentially.
Yeah. And I think too, it's important to mention that consistency is everything. And I know you're really, really good at this, Sarah, is, um, once you have, I mean, it can be strategic. Just because something is authentic and real, it doesn't mean that it can't be strategic. So don't, I wouldn't misinterpret what I'm saying about relationship building when it comes to engaging on other people's platforms or posts or profiles or whatever, as saying that you don't have to have a strategy or you don't have to be consistent. I think you can decide on, I'm going to reach out to this many people a day and just make it a goal to meet 10 other people in your space maybe every day, or like find 10 people to follow, or find 10 really cool posts to comment on or engage on or add to the conversation. Like that can definitely be a strategy. But once it's a strategy, you need to set yourself a time frame, see it through to the end, even when it feels like it might not be working. And then at the end of that set time period, you can review, and you have all these different data points to see, okay, I made this relationship and it resulted in XYZ opportunity. I made these relationships and maybe these weren't the right people that I wanted to connect with. So I know for next time that I'm going to look for these types of people. So I think having a strategy, but also being consistent in that authentic engagement strategy, is something that is going to really make a difference for you, especially if you're just starting out.
Yes. Yes, I love that. And you've worked with quite a few social media clients in like more of a done for you circumstance, but you've also been coaching them. What do you feel like are, the most common um, problems that they come to you with? Like, what are the biggest things that you see within your community in terms of, you know, how they're navigating social media that are really easily fixable?
That's a good question. Let me think about that. Okay, so I think one thing that comes up that is a common pain point is wanting things to convert really quickly all at once with no real um, thought to how different pieces of the puzzle integrate. And I'll explain that
Mhm.
in a second. The second one is thinking that throwing money at a post or boosting a post is automatically going to be the solution to their problem. And we're laughing because there's so many nuances behind ad strategies that I won't even try and get into. But I think um, The first one about not understanding how different pieces of the puzzle integrate is that I find that people panic when it comes to social media. They think that, they see a hot new strategy come in and they think that they have to jump to that. And if they don't jump to that, then they're going to be left behind. And if they don't do what this person's doing, then they're going to be left behind, and that, their business is going to tank and it's going to fail. Or, there's just a whole lot of throwing spaghetti at walls, hoping that something's going to work, and a lot of reactivity when it comes to industry trends and algorithm changes and all of these different, shadow banning and all these different things that just scare the crap out of people because they know that social media is important, but they're just frantic about how to make it work for them. And I come back to this principle of consistency and slow and steady. Know your audience, stay in your lane, and be consistent. Because when you serve your audience exactly what you have to offer, you're going to be a 100% great version of who you are, not a 50% watered down version of what someone else is doing. And when you try to do all these kind of different things, you're not actually doing any one of those things well. And the data that you're getting back, the results that you're getting back, you're not going to be able to track where those are coming from.
Yes.
So I think that it's really important to understand each piece of the puzzle that makes your engagement grow, that makes your social media accounts work for you, and tweak and test each piece separately and be patient with the results, because social media is one of those things where I have tried. It's really difficult unless you have a direct link that tracks a sale of one specific product, to track how your social media efforts are directly influencing your bottom line and your sales. It all contributes, but what you need to understand is it's part of a bigger piece of the puzzle. And I think that's another thing too, is that social media doesn't necessarily work on its own. You can't rely alone on your social media to make your business work for you. It complements it, it attracts people to it, but then you have to show up and deliver the goods. So I think that those are some really important things to know, and how each piece of the puzzle works in conjunction with each other, and to be patient and to track what's happening over a period of time so that you can have a repeatable strategy. And what was the second thing I said? Oh, throwing money at posts or whatever to see. See, these things are. I could talk about this forever, and I know that we have our own stories behind this. But I think there's this fantasy that, that you can fix a problem by putting money behind it. And I think that deep down, we know that it's not that simple. But for whatever reason, it makes us feel better anyway, knowing that, maybe I don't actually have to show up authentically and consistently, because if I just spend, I don't know, say $50 on boosting this post, then I've done the work. But that's really avoiding the work that you actually need to do, which is knowing who your audience is, knowing what your story is, knowing what the connection is between what service or product you're selling and meeting them where they are at. Like, that is the work that needs to be done. And the mindset work behind showing up and communicating that on a consistent basis is the work that needs to be done. The $50 is what you're doing to trick yourself into thinking that you've done the work. And that's not true. So I think these are things that, I see. These are trends that I see. These are things that I've worked on with clients before, and trying to kind of reel them in and help them understand that there's a foundation that needs to be built, and it's a process. Everything's a process, and everything is figure outable, and everything is testable, and not to be afraid to test, but to test in a way that's strategic, and have patience with that process.
Yes, 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 yes. I feel like this is my entire business model too. And what I really work with my clients on is like taking them to see that bigger picture, because it's so true. We all want this one thing to work, right? So it's like, okay, I'm going to do this new thing and it's going to work. And so what is the definition of work, right? Is, I think, one of the biggest questions. Like how do we define it as it's working? what needs to happen in order for it to quote unquote be working. And most of us, especially when we're new to entrepreneurship, the word work and it needs to work or it's not working or everything is working, really comes down to like your deepest, fullest desire of like your highest goal that you could possibly want for this
Yeah.
specific strategy that you have. So we put all of our eggs in this one basket of, okay, this needs to work. What does that mean? It means that this one post on social media that I'm going to post is going to get me, like 5 discovery calls. And if it doesn't, then it's not working. And
Mm.
every single time I see this come into fruition, it always happens the exact same way. And it's never about how much has been generated from this one strategy. It's about our mindsets behind the strategy to begin with. So it's not
Mm-hmm.
about, this worked because it gave me a client, because even in those situations, it's like I still get this reaction of, yeah, it got me a client, but it didn't get me 5.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like it's always this, and I fall prey to this too. And I think that this is why mindset coaching and
Mm.
coaching in general is just so effective. Because we can put ourselves down all we want. We can put ourselves down in our accomplishments in our businesses all we want, like, on a daily basis. It can always be like, okay, yeah, this one little thing worked, but like it didn't give me like the whole farm that I wanted, right? Like I wanted to build
Mm-hmm.
Rome in a day, right? Like I wanted to um, have everything appear right before my eyes. And I'm sure that some of my clients who are listening to this are probably even just laughing at it, because like this is what we all think when we start out and when we're like, okay, now I'm going to invest in this course. And because I invested in this course, boom, I'm going to have a 6-figure business within a few weeks or within a few months or like whatever
Yeah.
it is. But then as we look and actually reflect, and I think this is what you're talking about with the data as well, is when as we look back and reflect, and this is why reflection is so important, is we actually realize that, wow, we're really successful. I really succeeded at that thing. Wow, that was actually a huge success, right? And for my clients who are like, yeah, well, I signed on 2 clients this month, but I didn't sign on 3. When we look back and we reflect, we're like, yeah, I got fully booked, but I didn't, like, I still got on the phone with a lot of no's. Like you can butt yourself until like you don't have a business anymore, essentially. But when we really look back and reflect on, everything as a whole and what makes some specific systems work, even if that one post, for example, the first time that you put it out didn't get you the discovery call, or it got you 2 discovery calls, but both of them didn't say yes. That it's still working. That post still worked. It's just a matter of time before you get on another 2 discovery calls, and you get 2 yeses. Right? Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? This is getting me a little bit fired up because I think what we're talking about focusing on what's not working, there's always going to be things that aren't working, right? Like for every strategy you see working for someone's business, there's probably 5 that they've tried that didn't work so well, and that's okay. But the point is that you're not going to know unless you try that, and you try it
Mhm.
fearlessly, and you don't make it mean anything if it doesn't work for you, right? And I think it's so easy to focus on, the I didn't get 3, I got 1, but I didn't get 3. But what did you get, and what can you learn from the positive outcomes that did happen? And the learning process it's priceless, and I will say too, it's about playing the long game and sowing seeds, because even with coaching, I remember like even lessons that I learned from my very first coach that I signed up with. I'm only just starting to understand some of those at this point in my life and at this point in my entrepreneurship journey. And if I hadn't invested back then, I wouldn't have that now. So you have to start somewhere. And wherever you start, it's going to produce returns for you on an ongoing basis, whether that's financial returns, whether that's, knowledge or understanding, but it all builds on each other. And that's exactly what you're charging people for. That's where the value lies in who you are, because you have built up this mastery of yourself. You've built up this mastery of your skill set, this mastery of your craft that wouldn't happen had you not sown all of those seeds. So every social media post that you put out that doesn't get I don't know, however many likes you want it to, or it doesn't get any comments, is a learning opportunity that you're going to be able to stick in the bank and pull out later as evidence for a strategy that maybe will work in the future, or as evidence for something greater, that's like a greater principle that you can follow or even teach in your business later on down the line. And that's a story. And we talk about this all the time, is failure is just content, like every time every time something doesn't work for you, it's not necessarily a bad thing, because now you have something to talk about. You have an experience to share with someone else that's going to give them lessons that they wouldn't be able to get from you if you hadn't had experienced that failure. And, maybe some people do get the one post and they go viral and they become an influencer or whatever. Maybe some people do have that it's not that that can't happen, the 6-figure business in a couple of months. It's definitely happened, but you need to focus on your own business, stay in your own lane, think about your own journey, and understand how that unique experience is going to contribute to what you have to offer and your unique package as a person.
I love that. And I love how you're talking about systems and how like everything plays a role. And I think that that's, to me, that's why, the coaching aspect of what you're doing as well is just so effective, because you're not just doing done for you content. You understand that even the people who you've worked with, there's something more holistic that needs to happen there. So I'm super excited about that. I feel like we could talk about this for ages. But for now, tell us what you're up to right now. Tell us where this community can find you, and like anything free that you want to offer them.
Absolutely, I would love to. So right now, Instagram is my jam. You can find me on Instagram at the Mikayla Victoria. That is TheMikayla Victoria. That's my whole name. The Mikayla Victoria on Instagram. I'm opening up a wait list for one-on-one social media and mindset mentoring starting in January of 2020. So whenever this releases, that will likely be open already at this point. So you can get on the wait list there. There will be a link in my bio. And also, if you want to get started on social media, or if you just need a different perspective on how to up-level your social media game, you can start with my 7 steps to social media success checklist, and you can find that at mikaylavictoria.com/checklist. And that is the 7 steps to social media success.
Yay. Awesome. Thank you so much for being here, Mikayla. This has been awesome. I don't think that we've talked this much in depth about social media, so I'm sure that we'll have a ton of comments on it. If anyone wants to connect with me or Mikayla, you can find us at our Instagram handles. I'm always at Sarah J. Loureiro, Sarah without an H, J, and then Loureiro, my crazy Portuguese last name. So feel free to connect with us. Tell us how you enjoyed this episode, and we will catch you next time.
Hey, did you like or love this episode? If so, I would so appreciate it if you left a review and rated this episode on iTunes. It would literally mean so much to me. And if you have Instagram and are all up in your Instagram stories like I am, I would love it if you would share this episode with your beautiful followers so they can also get all of the high vibes, all of the free information that I'm giving you here. Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to the Up-Level Your Online Business Show. If you enjoy our show and would like the show notes and free goodies about how to grow your online coaching business, head over to sarahjloureiro.com for more information. We hope you'll tune in next time.